My name is Keith, and from the time I was about 4 years old, I was interested in being a part of the entertainment business. And I've done many things throughout that time, from singing in bands, writing music, hosting television shows, everything involved in the professional wrestling business. And I've written comic books, done a lot of things, and almost all of those things failed in some way or another. But I still kept going. I still wanted to continue to create. And there's just something in me that drives me to create. And I started thinking, well, what is it that drives anyone to create? And that's going to be the point of this podcast. We're going to talk to people from all aspects of the entertainment industry. We're going to find out what made them interested in creating art, and why, when faced with success, when faced with failure, the ups and downs of life and life in the entertainment business, they continue to create. So, and hopefully we'll have some good and interesting conversations along the way that you'll be interested in hearing. So tune in to the Most Excellent Entertainment Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Most Excellent Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Keith, and we are here today with Illsvn Forek. He is a streamer, an actor, a MC,
YouTuber.
YouTuber.
I am grasping at straws until something gets me there. Okay, that's what I am.
Hey, that seems to be a common thread, man. To be completely honest, we've had literally our very first guest was a band, and they were a band. Everyone else is, I'm a mixed martial artist. I am a musician. I am a writer. Mm-hmm. Everybody has hyphens, man. Yeah. And I think that's important when you're trying to get your name out there. And honestly, if you look at successful people, there's one of two things that you see: either hyper focus on one thing, or casting everything out there and seeing what lands. Yeah, it's one or the other, and they both seem to be pretty successful. Just depends on what works for you,
Yeah, man. I before I did this, so I'll give you the timeline briefly. I started as a hip hop artist between the ages of like 18 to 24 on MySpace Music, and then whatever, that wild west before streaming came along. However you could put your music out there, you put it out there. It was really, really a lot of fun. And then unfortunately, it turns out if you rap about selling drugs, they'll kick in your door for selling drugs. So we had to abandon that plan. Then from there, I moved on over to all the networking I did, because I live right by New York City, and I was performing in New York City as a hip hop artist. I transitioned over to a DJ, which was, like being at a buffet and going from one table to the other. All the networking I did, I became a DJ. I was signed to an independent record label called Smooth Villain Records. I put out 2 songs on there. You can find them on Spotify under my name. Just type in Illsvn, ILLSVN. You'll find the 2 I had on there. I had a lot of fun with that, and that ultimately opened doors to me meeting someone who I wouldn't meet until after I was done DJing, that got me into the acting thing. And it's one of those things where one thing led to another that led to another. If I didn't do one thing, I would have never been where I am today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a domino effect over the course of I want to say I came up with the name Illsvn in 2004. So over the course of 20 years, it's just been this domino effect of this. And it's exciting to, have something to show for it with this acting thing. I'm really excited. And the YouTube, now I do acting in YouTube predominantly, just so that way we know where I am now. I have a YouTube channel for horror and gaming. And that led to me meeting people who showed me how to get into independent horror films by donating to Indiegogo campaigns. And, that led to people wanting to just put me in movies beyond just, I was just buying death scenes, right? Because I have a YouTube horror page. Donate to an independent horror film, give back to the community that gives me a platform to make my stuff. And, I get to die in a horror film. And I mean, that's just something that's on brand for what I do. I'm at horror cons passing out the pins and the stickers and the everything. And it just made sense. I've been dying in a couple films, but I got a couple projects coming up where I'm actually getting supporting roles and an indirect lead. And I'm really, really excited. It's just been a long thing. So everyone knows what I am. If they're like, so what's his ADHD function now?
Right. Right on, man. So, you mentioned that you started out in hip hop. One thing that I do want to dive into real quick, because it's something that you said about the kicking in your door. If you rap about drugs and they kick in your door. So when I was a kid, hip hop was more of a storytelling thing. And I'm not saying that everyone who was rapping wasn't rapping about their life, because they were, but it was sort of an observational sort of thing.
Yeah, like peeking out the window type of stuff,
Right,
putting
right.
your hole through the fence hole and putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, and then as it moved on, you had guys like Jay-Z, Tupac,
Biggie. Biggie was really the first one who blueprinted like drug dealer rap, and it's just for the better part of like 2 decades that was the move, and now it's like drug user rap, which I'm not going to get into my opinions because then I sound like an old man shaking my fist at the cloud.
Right.
But neither one of those you should be doing, kids. If you're watching this, let me tell you, as someone who sat inside that cell waiting for bail to post, you don't want to do either one of them. Okay,
absolutely. But what I was going to say is, so my son is very, very, very into hip hop. He loves basketball. He loves YouTube. So, constantly, I mean, drill rap is his thing. I mean, honestly, he likes a lot of other stuff too. I wish that he liked the hip hop that I grew up on, but he's really into drill rap, and these drill rappers are actually killing each other.
Oh yeah, no, that's real life shit.
Yeah, they don't just rap about killing; they are actually killing each other. And I'm just like,
yo,
wow.
That's real talk. That's when like life imitates art and gets to a point where like what you're conveying is really who you are in the streets. And we all thought like the unbridled marriage of hip hop and violence was long since gone with the Biggie and Tupac thing. That was like the wake up call. And it turns out like it's really just getting started. I mean, you got to figure like Pop Smoke wasn't even really a drill rapper. He just posted his location where he was, and they ran up on him. And those teenage boys blew him away for a watch they didn't even get $5,000 over. Like that's crazy. But drill rap is really like in the trenches shit. Like I rapped about like, it wasn't my main topic, but I was advised by people, lean on that. That's who you are in real life. You're not faking anything. But it's one of those things where like, dude, I was in the suburbs of New Jersey. I was not in the trenches of O Block, like sliding on the ops and shit like that. Like drill rap, but for what it's worth, drill rap is pretty fucking good. I hate to say it. If I had to pick between mumble rap and drill rap, because the two are not the same.
Rap all day.
Drill rap. And I mean, I say that, at the same time, like, that street life, it catches up with you, man. It caught up with me in the suburbs of New Jersey, and I walked away. Like, I walked away okay. It could have been a lot worse, but hey, man. Real like in the trenches shit, I have no relation to that, and that is that's some dope shit. But at the same time, it's like save insane. Yourselves, man. Like I don't even know where to start. Like I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a guy, King Von.
Yeah,
who's in jail right now, in prison right now, I believe.
No, King Von's dead.
Oh, King Von's dead. Okay, so dang it, who's the guy who's in prison? Thug? No, it's not Young Thug. It's trending that he needs like free whatever his name is like trending right
nonetheless, I get what you're saying. He's really about that life.
He is in prison because he killed someone, and people are like, free him.
Oh, YNL Melly. You're talking about YNL Melly.
No, it's not him either. But
funny is he's exactly what you controversial.
That's the whole drive-by thing where he's saying that he wasn't actually involved, right? That's the Melly guy.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is they talk about what they did in their songs, and it's like, bro, you're not really like. That's what happened to Bobby Shmurda. Remember, Bobby Shmurda was another one. He was a drill rapper, and his lyrics literally, like that song "Hot." We can't say that word, but the "Hot N-word" song literally had lyrics that were like, bro, this is what it says in the police report. Like,
and I'm gonna call my kid in here for a second. Mama, come here for a second, buddy.
That's the best.
Because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't get this guy's name.
No, you have to. We have to. We're on.
Casey! He's going to make me get up. But yeah, I have to find out.
No, yeah. Again, you have to have examples. But it's funny because, we're talking about a rapper, and I was like, oh, you mean the guy YNL Melly? You're like, no, there's another
3 different ones. It's like, who's the guy who's in prison right now, and you were watching his video yesterday, and it's trending, free him. The rapper. You were watching the video yesterday.
Bye-bye.
No, Case, tell me, dude. We were just talking about it.
About what?
About who that rapper was. Who was it? Because Daddy doesn't remember. You were watching a video yesterday. This is interesting podcast material. You were watching a video yesterday. This is what
I signed up for.
Right. You were watching a video yesterday, and they were talking about free him, and it was trending. They were making videos about it. And he was on his Instagram, and you said, how is he on Instagram in prison? And I said, they get to get on Instagram when they're in prison. Who was it?
Your son ain't a snitch.
Yeah, he's like, who was it,
Dad? He's like, I just see him in the background. He's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking
about. He just jumped off. He's dancing. Who was it, dude? Come on. Please let me know. Case. All right, so we might cut that because he's not going to tell.
You might want to just leave it in there just because it's great. Like,
yeah,
Dad, I mean, you can't have ops sliding on me. I have class tomorrow at 9.
He's not telling me. Dude, are you seriously not going to tell me? Come on, who was it, dude? It was a YouTube video.
I know. It's about that. Say it.
So please, it's for my podcast. Just let me know.
Say it.
Tell me in my ear. All right, dude. Well, if you decide to let me know, knock on the.
Hey, your mic just went off.
Fortunately. Oh, hold on. My mic just cut out.
Yeah, now it's back on. Now it's back on. You're good.
Yeah. I was getting a phone call. And
okay.
Because I'm using my phone instead of the advanced technology.
Hey, man, that's all good.
Are you seriously not going to tell me? You make me crazy. All right, watch out. There you go.
He's not no snitch, Dad. I ain't no.
He
snitch.
knows the code.
But again, look at the influence that has on that was the importance of it. Like the influence it has. Like, don't snitch. Like, no snitching. Right. Like, I don't know how that falls into that, but I'm not a kid anymore. Right. I'm 38, so I'm not going to judge anybody. But props to your kid for keeping his mouth shut. Never rat on your friends.
So it's funny though, because my favorite Joe rapper is probably Lil Mabu. It was probably the fakest Joe rapper in the history of Joe rap. So
there's got to be, you live that. I'm a huge fan of like Paul Stanley from Kiss. He said it best because I was listening to his autobiography, and he's like, if they can't tell where the persona ends and the person starts, you're doing your job as an entertainer. And I think that's really fascinating because I'm a little bit like conceited in my like presentation and shit like that, but that's not really who I am. That's just the presentation. Like, I'm out there sharing everybody's videos. Like, I have videos where I have movies I'm sharing where I'm not in them at all. I have nothing to do with the project except for the share button, but it's about that persona and presenting yourself in such a way that people really don't know unless you know someone who knows you personally. And they're like, yeah, he's not really like that in real life. He's actually pretty quiet, but like online, it's like, hey man, I'm fighting an uphill battle on the algorithm here. I got to be a little bit like, all the pro wrestling I watch too, attention.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just thinking about that. When I do it probably even more so now, but when I was involved in wrestling, unless you're running on the same day as me, I shared your stuff. I shared all the wrestling stuff that came across my timeline.
Absolutely.
And I always portrayed an authority figure. And even if I was neutral or a babyface, I still acted arrogant.
Yeah,
because I figured, if you are in control of all these men who could probably beat the living hell out of you, but because you are the power, you're going to be a little arrogant, regardless of whether you're trying to appeal to the fans or not. So sometimes I'd be like the slightly bumbling GM/owner where my mouth would write checks that it couldn't cash.
Yeah, and that's what your talent is for, of course, right?
Yeah.
You can kick my ass, but can you kick his? He's my man.
Right. But even as a babyface, like I did a thing where I was having a big feud with this heel manager, and they interrupted the start of my show, and I said, "Have fun losing all your matches tonight," and then they won every match. So.
It's important to wrestling again. And I feel like, pro wrestling and hip hop was an interesting thing to get in on because I actually wanted to be a pro wrestler, but that's another story. That's a road I never went down. it's that thing where like pro wrestling and hip hop is the only realm where like the main guy is going to tell you, I'm the best there is on this bill. And after me, you can just go home because no one else compares. And I think that's really a fascinating thing because wrestling is about the manipulations of one's emotions, right? Like the babyface can't have a bad guy run in and interrupt the match, but the bad guy can have another one of his friends come in, interrupt the match, and hit the babyface, and then the babyface's friends come down, and in order to keep that thin line, the babyface's friends doesn't hit the bad guy that's wrestling. He hits the bad guy who interrupted, because now it's an eye for an eye, and the babyface is still a good guy and still saves the day without stooping down to the bad guy's level. He's just coming in to get rid of the guy that's not supposed to be there, and that's the manipulation of one's emotions, and it works. It works on both sides. Everybody's doing their job. That's why they call it a job. And it's fascinating that you can really play on people like that. And, when I got into this acting thing, I got to tell you, again, I came up in New York City. I was basically bred as an artist in the world where if you don't make noise, you aren't known. So I go out to these cons and stuff, and I see these actors and these actresses that are from these states that are much more, I don't want to say less known, but much quieter. Like, for example, you have people in Kentucky, or you have people from like, even upstate New York. And like, I feel like sometimes people look at me like, why are you so loud? And it's like, because I don't know any other way to be, man. Like, I have to be this persona. This is who I'm comfortable as when that camera turns on, or when I know someone who can present an opportunity in there. Because what is luck if not when preparation and opportunity meet in the middle, right? That's what luck is to me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why it's really great that I make these videos where I promote the Indiegogo, or I promote the trailer. Stream is coming out, and I recently put out a trailer reaction for Stream. The new movie from Fuzz on the Lens. Make sure you check it out, August 21st.
I will. All right.
I did a reaction video for that because I do them for everything, right? For the new Beetlejuice, for the X-Men movie, the Deadpool. I did that. And sure enough, Mike Levy shared my video. And then David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, shared my shit. Am I the only one they shared? No. But it's cool that, like I said, that persona, that energy, that whole like. And,
it puts your name in a conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's how your name gets bigger.
Yeah, man. And it's important to work within your circle because you got to give back. You got to give back to people. Like a great example of, giving back is something I just recently did. I purchased an Indiegogo perk to be in a film, right? I'm supposed to die in the film. There was something about the perk that unfortunately is unable to be done anymore due to logistics that we didn't know at the time. People had been arranged to dates that they didn't know were going to be because we didn't have release dates at the time. So the individual was like, hey man, what could we do to make this right? Would you like some money back? And I was like, how about we put my mom in the movie, and then we could put my little ILL-TV bumper, like the thing you see behind me. I have a different one. Yeah. We could put that in there too. So, it's cool. I get to give back to my mom, who's believed in me for all of my dreams. She has never once told me, don't you think you're getting a little too old for this? Or don't you think she has literally told me I could be everything and anything I want to be except for a waiter. And she was right. I fucking bombed at that. It was terrible. Like, she's like, you could be a rapper. You could be a DJ. I'm gonna be a waiter. She's like, I think you might want to try bartending. I don't know if the whole walking away from a table and trying to remember thing is for you, because, I see how your laundry situation works.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, it's about giving back and, putting yourself in a situation where you can give back, because you can't help anybody before you help yourself. And
Absolutely.
that's why, like, even this is a great example. We were in the, Sister Sullivan group chat, and you just put it out there. Hey guys, who wants a chance to talk about what they're going to talk about? It's like, wow, someone is putting an opportunity out there. They have more content. I have content for myself, and it's cool. Like, I think it was really flattering. So let me say thank you for accepting me and putting that out there, because that was really fucking awesome.
I appreciate you jumping on, honestly. You can throw the opportunity out there, but it's the old lead a horse to water.
Yep.
Can't make them drink, So I appreciate you wanting to come on and talk about yourself and talk about your projects. It's awesome. Yeah.
I guess you could say it was most excellent.
Indeed. It's so funny, man. Like, I am such a huge Keanu Reeves fan, and that is where the most excellent entertainment thing
That's cool.
From.
And Keanu Reeves is a hell of a guy to that's a human being we could all dream to be one day.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not just a fan of his movies. Like, I'm a fan of him as a human.
Yeah, no, his whole backstory, and like I can only imagine if he ever showed up at one of the horror cons we go to autograph for an autograph. God, he would probably have a line going out the door from wherever the room was where you signed to the door and around the block. Like, it would be insane, because that's a wonderful human being, and I'm glad that's where you got it from, because ever since I've heard this podcast, all I've thought is I really need to watch Bill and Ted again.
Yeah, right on, dude. There you go. I saw Dog Star in Indianapolis. That is Keanu Reeves. Okay, so yeah, it was a good live show.
Okay.
Yeah, the recorded stuff is acceptable. I wouldn't say they're my favorite band by any stretch of the imagination, but that place was packed. I mean, it was the Vogue in Indianapolis. It's a decent sized club. It was packed like, Mick Jagger was there.
Wow, that's saying a lot. I'm pretty impressed by that. You got to figure, what's it called? That's my. You know who my mom saw that she's a really big fan of? The Hollywood Vampires. It's like Johnny Depp.
Oh, sure, Johnny Depp and Alice Cooper.
My mom loves her some Johnny Depp since the dawn of time. That's her dream to meet Johnny Depp. That's for sure. But it's interesting to see how some of these celebrity bands are actually pretty good. Or pretty decent. And listen, you could be, really good at one thing and mediocre at everything else, and it's still entertaining because of who you are. I think that's really important. Why not? If you could sell tickets to it, why the fuck not?
Right. I mean, the thing is, like, Keanu Reeves is a bass player. Like, that is his role in that band. He is off on the side, playing his bass, head down, hair in his face.
Having the time of his fucking life.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. I'm sure he is like, this is the greatest thing. Yeah. It's funny because, oh man, what is that guy's name? Josh Gad? Josh Gad hosts a podcast. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a comedian. He's the star of Wolf Like Me on Paramount Plus. I'm trying to think of other stuff he's done. He's been in a ton of stuff, dude. If you saw his face, you would know him. But his name
I'm
is
embarrassed that I don't know his face. But if I saw, as I was saying, if I saw his face, I'd probably know.
Yeah, no worries. But he does like a podcast. And he did an episode of the new Bill and Ted when it came out, where he talked to Bill and Keanu and Alex and some other people that were in the movie. And he asked Reeves, this was to me such a big deal about who Keanu Reeves is, because he said, man, it must be nice. You've been doing these John Wick movies for so long. It must be nice to go out and just do some comedy and have some fun. And Keanu said, what do you mean? I love those movies.
Yeah, it's hard to picture Keanu Reeves being John Wick when you know him. It's like,
right. But I think it was funny because it seemed like he was trying to get him to like slag on John Wick. Like, that's how I make my money, but it's not what I want to do. Right. And he was just like, I love those movies.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't imagine Keanu Reeves doing something he doesn't love. So good.
He doesn't need to do it for a check, that's for sure. He's right. He apparently when he was at his like peak, he was living in like a flat in Brooklyn when he was getting like paychecks with maybe 2 commas in them, and that's wild. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the wrestling thing. You eat tuna fish on the road, even when you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, so that you can live better later on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. By the way, I have to ask you, if you don't mind me asking, all the wrestling you've done, what hurts you the most now? What body part does?
Man, okay, so the actual physical stuff. This is an interesting story. So I went to have my first match after training for about 9 months. My training was not conventional. I had a friend. This is not the way that you do wrestling training.
Unorthodox is the word we will use.
Indeed, yeah. So I had a friend who was a ring announcer who was paying for his wrestling training by ring announcing. So he was legitimately going to a ring in Pennsylvania, getting trained. And then he would come to my house and we would set 2 mattresses out. And he would show me everything that he had learned at training as best he could. We obviously couldn't run the ropes.
Right. Yeah. Anything with momentum behind it was sure interesting, I'm sure. Right. Spine busters were a lot of fun, I'm sure.
Indeed, yeah. So he would train me in my house, everything that he had learned, me and my buddy. And so then when he wasn't able to be there, my buddy would come over and we would just go over what we learned over and over and over again. So that was my wrestling training. I was in a ring twice the whole time I was training. The second time was right before my actual match.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that's cool though. I mean, listen,
yeah.
My first acting role was something else, that's for sure.
I mean, here's the thing too. Like back in the day, Buzz Sawyer used to train guys in his driveway. He would have guys come to his house and pay him. That's how the Undertaker got into the wrestling business.
Yeah, once upon
He
a
bet
time.
Buzz Sawyer gave him money, and he's like, that wasn't real training. But the thing is, that was the training that the Undertaker had. Like Buzz Sawyer trained him in his driveway.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
either you get it or you don't.
Converted boxing ring, California, Pennsylvania, the Mega Wrestling Association at the University of Pennsylvania or the University of California in Pennsylvania. My first match. We were having a Royal Rumble, and because I had a TV show, I was like a celebrity guest in the Royal Rumble.
Okay, that's cool. That's a cool thing to play on.
It was cool. And the thing is, one of the rules of pro wrestling is if you're in a battle royal, you don't get on the top rope. However, I was going to enter the Royal Rumble by climbing on the top rope and jumping onto a bunch of people because it was going to be cool.
Yeah, the coil thing,
Yeah.
Flash, a little flash.
Yeah, as long as everybody knows, but you don't in a battle royal, you don't lay on the ground and you don't lay on the mat and you don't
top rope.
You don't jump off the top rope. So, but they were going to let me jump off the top rope.
Yeah, celebrity cool thing, it's like, that's cool. That's cool,
And on top of that, almost all the eliminations except for the last few were just going to be grab, throw over.
Yeah.
But because I was a celebrity, I was getting a special elimination.
Right.
This tag team.
A la Drew Carey in the 01 Rumble, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So this tag team, Ultra 2K and the Canadian Default were going to press me over their heads, dump me over the rope. My trainer, who was there as a guest commentator, was going to run up, catch me, roll me under. I was going to, celebrate, get hit, flip over. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Default had my legs, and he gave me. We were practicing. We weren't actually doing the spot yet.
Yeah, because the dry run. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting spot, so we had to make sure we did it right. So Default gave me a little too much twerk on my legs. So instead of just falling down into Vinny's arms so he could catch me, I spun, landed on his head, then hit my hip on the apron, and then came down on the concrete straight onto my knees. So to answer your original question, definitely my knees.
I was going to say, was it your hip or your knees? Which one is it?
Yeah, no, definitely my knees. Full weight down on my knees on the concrete. And we ended up not even doing the Battle Royal because there was an injury to the semi-main event and had to shut the show down.
That's show business, man. That's rough.
Yeah, so the Battle Royal didn't even happen, but I did have a match on the card. But on the way home, I looked at Vinny. This is a little secret about the wrestling business that isn't so much of a secret anymore. You're from up around New York, so you may know this, but from Ithaca, New York, where I lived, to California, Pennsylvania, is a 10.5-hour drive.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane how long once you actually go to and I don't mean to cut you off, the whole mass size of Pennsylvania and New York is I'm filming a film. I live in Jersey, right?
Sure.
Filming a film somewhere in Pennsylvania. I was like, it's a 2 or 3 hour drive. 6 fucking hours. Continue though.
Bro,
sorry.
It's 6 hours from the city to Ithaca.
Yeah. It's no joke.
People are like, "Oh, you're from New York, blah, blah." And I'm like, dude, I went to the city one time and I was at the Port Authority. How many times have you been to Milwaukee? Because it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's no joke. Yo, it's insane.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone expects me to be like Al Capone or something. I'm like, bro, I'm from upstate New York. Cows. You know what I mean?
Owls,
Dairy
owls,
farms.
not owl, owls. Hoo hoo, like owls.
Yeah. Dairy farms, anyway. So we're driving home 10 and a half hours. I look at Vinny. We were you know the old Ron Simmons like handstand way of getting out of the ring?
I'm sure if I saw it, I'd know. Ron Simmons was an athlete of athletes, so yeah.
Oh yeah, indeed. But we ran that as a drill. So we stood in a line,
Right.
ran
Okay.
to
I
the
know you're
rope,
talking about when he would now with the way he would flip over the rope. Yeah.
put
Yeah,
the
now I
one
remember.
hand, whip ourselves out.
Yeah.
We
It
did
took me a
that.
second to recall, but yeah.
Yeah, over and over and over again. What a lot of people also don't know is the majority of wrestling rings is elevator cable wrapped in rubber or athletic tape.
You're talking about the ropes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So I was laying my stomach across elevator cable over, and over again. And my stomach's killing me. Like it feels like somebody literally took a knife and cut across my stomach. My knees hurt. I looked at Vinny. I said, "Hey man, so am I a wrestler yet?" And he goes, "Or am I a wrestler now?" And he goes, "Did you get paid?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Then you're not a wrestler." And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna stick to music."
I was going to be a pro wrestler, and I believe I told you this in the last one when we tried to do this, but my career counselor saw that I was this entertainer type. Like I like to entertain. And she's like, I have someone who wants to talk to you. She brings me to Captain Lou Albano's brother, who is a teacher at my school. And for those of you that don't know Captain Lou Albano, just go watch the Super Mario Brothers 3 cartoon show. The big heavyset dude, that was his brother.
That's Captain Lou.
Fun fact, Captain Lou Albano got 2 cents off every Super Mario 3 cartridge sold. That thing sold 15 million copies because he was
amazing.
And also he didn't that's what points in the games. He still got paid for the show. But anyway, his brother is like sees how wide-eyed I am, and he sees how like he's like, oh wow, this kid's actually like he's got something to him. I'm 14 years old, but he can tell like I like to overact and be a little wild. And he starts telling me, he's like, yeah, before my brother ever saw a paycheck that could feed himself, he had already broken all 10 of his fingers. I was like,
right, yeah.
And then, I'm talking to him, and, he's trying, and, my mom, who, like I said, that was the one thing I wanted to be, where she's like, I really want you to listen to me before you go and do that, because you're a big boy. You're 6'2". I was 6'2" in high school. I'm 6'2" now, and I'm a little bit bigger. She's like, you're a big boy. You could do this. But just be there. You could be in the middle of a match where you're not even getting paid $50 for the night, and you just put your foot on that the wrong way, and your knee is gone. And, everything that you've done, your training, all that stuff is now not for nothing because you did something, but you will have nothing to show for it. And she's like, I just want you to really think about that. And at the time I didn't really think about it, but I remember that came back to my head when he had told me that. And like one of the few times I ever listened to my mother outright, I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should do something else. I was like, I don't know, but maybe pro wrestling isn't for me. And the fact I was never really interested in the whole concept of being a wrestler, going into my school and doing the wrestling that they did there, wrestling never appealed to me. It was clearly the theatrics, and the athleticism came afterwards to me. And that's why I have a lot of respect for that, because in the end, what got me into being a hip hop artist was the Insane Clown Posse.
Nice.
I love ICP. They blueprinted how to be a successful artist back when CDs still sold, and their formula still works to this day. When CD sales stopped, it's like, bro, we weren't really selling that much to begin with. Like we were doing more of the concert shows and merch thing. Like they had hockey jersey, baseball jerseys. They marketed themselves to the point where their CD was like the least of what you could own. Like if you had a favorite CD of theirs, like let's say you like the Ringmaster, or mine was the Riddle Box, right?
Right.
Riddle Box t-shirts, Christmas t-shirts, Riddle Box hockey jersey, baseball jersey, football jersey, like everything, button-up shirts. There was 900 ways for you to say Riddle Box is my favorite ICP album. Like I said, plus the Christmas designs, the Halloween designs, they're really the ones that got me into this whole, like, not every rapper is truly a gangster, as they call it, comic book rap back then. It's called horrorcore, but that was my first taste of being like, I think I found a place. And that was the kind of rap I made for a long time. I made like juggalo, drug dealer rap. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. And, eventually, like I said, some unfortunate things happened and I got into DJing, but that's where that started. If anybody's wondering where it all started, ironically enough, ICP were also wrestlers and had their own wrestling organization. So I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Juggalo champion shit wrestling.
I'm not going to lie, man. Nobody understood their market without having a major label behind them to explain it to them like them. They just got it. They're probably the only ones who ever went up against Eminem and came out completely unscathed.
Because I mean, the Juggalos do not. You can say whatever you want about ICP. There's still, you know, the Juggalos are devoted. You know what I mean? They do not care what.
I love them. I'm still a big fan. You know, the new like anything else, I prefer the old stuff. But you know, they're still out there. They're still making it happening. The gathering of the Juggalos has been happening for over 20 years.
Yeah,
that's
it's crazy.
Insane. And I feel old because I remember when I first got into ICP, they were just on the second gathering. Like
nice.
Now they're on like the 20 or 30th one. I don't know. But they're doing their thing, and they're a reminder that consistency is key. You have to be consistent in this industry if you're gonna be me, like how I review, like when I first started my YouTube channel, I was like, what do I want to do? I had videos of everything. I had a video of me putting an arcade cabinet together that I bought. I had a video of me modifying controllers. I had a video of me with an adapter that let you use any controller you want. Like that shit was cool, but I was like, we're going to have to hone this in, man. We're going to really have to find our spot in the world because every minute that passes, 500 hours of content is uploaded to YouTube. You really can't go out there without a plan because like you just get lost in the mix.
Yeah, Tyler and I did the same thing. Originally, like this channel, before I started the podcast, I was like, I should get some videos up just to get a little bit of interest generated. And it was mostly videos of my kid doing like pool basketball stuff and like
right.
I left a review of something. I can't even remember what it was, to be honest. Something that I was not happy about. So I left a review of that. And then Tyler was like, you know, now that we're getting this podcast going, I'm going to put all these videos on private. It's like, it dilutes the channel. We need to be focused. And I'm like, that's why you are the producer and I am talking, you know, so. You know,
and it's good to have that extra set of eyes. I gotta say, I'm not jealous, but I'm envious that you guys have a team. It's always just been kind of me and going off of everything. And I gotta say, I was fortunate enough that the early videos still mesh very well with what I'm doing because I do like gaming and stuff like that. I stream once a week and do video games, so it works. But I feel like if I didn't do that streaming and let people know I'm still a video gamer, the video gaming stuff just wouldn't make sense unless when I'm reviewing a horror video game, which was on brand. But you know, like I don't have time to actually be a real video game reviewer. Like I could never do a 50-hour game in like 2 days and write a review on it. Like, you know, but it's one of those things where it's just part of the brand. It doesn't have to be the main focus, but it's part.
Yeah. Do you know who Sam Bucha is?
No, I know. No, I do not. Who is that?
Okay, so Sam Bucha is gaining a lot of popularity on YouTube right now. Casey, like I said, is obsessed with YouTube. Sam Bucha apparently is the I don't know how they measure things, but he's like the top rising creator on YouTube right now.
What's his content?
Oh man, it's interesting. He does everything. Like it's him talking about things.
Okay.
He does like how do you say this word? You know, and he'll do like the British comparison to the English comparison or to the American comparison, stuff like that. But the other day he put up a video where he watched every single YouTube video ever made. And it was 5 hours long. The way that he did it was he had multiple screens going at once.
That's ingenuity. I'm not even mad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, first of all, how do you get every single YouTube video ever made?
Like what's the fine print to that? I mean, I'll take
there has to be something,
you know, like,
he did one thing where he was like, he wanted to get from kids videos to adult content. So, just by clicking on suggested videos. See, just stuff like that. It's an interesting, and I don't know. Casey loves him. I feel like he cheated on the getting from kids videos to adult content because he clicked on sponsored ads. And he's like, well, YouTube is telling me to watch this, so I'm clicking this so I don't get stuck on SpongeBob for 800 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I'll be quite honest with you. I don't watch regular television. I think it's fascinating. Like I watch YouTube for predominantly everything. You know, like we all know the Angry Video Game Nerd, right? He kind of was the one that segued, like, you know, this can work. He was like the king of YouTube. He pretty much still is. But that's the
Yeah.
guy really segued. Like, there's a market out there for everything. Like, I
Right.
watch, like even when I want to watch a regular TV show, like Pawn Stars shows up in my algorithm, right?
Right,
So
sure.
I watch these clips of Pawn Stars, but it's like I don't have to watch the full episode. I can literally just watch a 32-minute clip from the official Pawn Stars YouTube of just
Right.
rare video game items or rare comic books. And it's just, there's nothing about it that makes you want to click through and be like, oh, this episode sucks. Like, they're literally curating on YouTube. And I also watch a lot of content creators, which kind of always inspired me. And that's one thing I never got. Like, I always thought the magnitude of it was too much for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me a long time to get to the level where I'm at now. And I don't want to compare myself to any of those people, but it's one of those things where like the inspiration was always there, but it was like always afraid to try it because it always was like, oh man, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Like, these cameras aren't cheap. These mics aren't cheap. These computers aren't cheap. This editing software seems complicated. And now it's like 3 years later and I'm able to do shit like you see behind me. Like, that was like, like I just made this before the stream because I knew how to make it. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, this thing behind me I've had for a while, but all of a sudden the software I was using is like, oh, now you can upload full videos behind you. I was like, oh shit. So I went and pulled the color out of the background of this. It was a file I already had, bounced it. And this was like not even 20 minutes before the stream started because it was a new feature. And because I've become so familiar with this, I understand what they say when they say, oh, you could put this behind you now. 4 or 3 years ago, I would have like no idea what the fuck you're talking about. This update sounds...
Put it behind you now. How does that work?
It's like, it's interesting. And YouTube is really a big deal to me. I don't watch a lot of, like I said, television or broadcast television. I don't know many people who do, to be quite honest with you. But it's just my media. I'll watch horror movie reviews on there. I post horror movie reviews. I understand the YouTube generation entirely because broadcast television is so dated by streaming, but it's even more dated if you go past the, because it's even more dated if you go past just the streaming services. Like I said, I watch Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars gets me as a viewer in whatever statistic they need me in because, a view is a view, right? They just don't get me ever watching their show when it's brand new. I have no idea when the next season comes out, nor do I really care. I just want to watch what I want to watch. And it's fascinating to see how everything is just at the disposal. I always tell people who are kind of like salty about the whole TikTok generation. They're like, oh man, a kid can become a kid not lip syncing. It's so stupid. I was like, no, it's actually fucking awesome. Do you know what I would have done in 2004 when I came up with the name Illsvn to have a platform to even just show some of my shitty songs, just to get told that I have shitty songs to go and get maybe picked up. You never know who's watching. And, I'm not going to sit here and shake my fist at the cloud that I'm not like, oh man, I missed the boat. It's like, no, I'm on the boat. I might be in the boat person section, but I'm not in the team club anymore. That's for sure. But I'm on the fucking boat and I'm not going to sit there and wonder why the boat won't sink because I'm mad about it. Like, I would have sold my soul to have what these kids have, to be able to know, like, I can make a video in a classroom of me and my friends. I was in the special education class. Okay. I would have been viral a long fucking time ago. Okay.
Yeah, brother.
And I just can't imagine being salty about that. Like, I want the generation after me to have it so much better and easier than me because I remember I thought social media was the stupidest thing. I was like, why would you go on MySpace? Because MySpace came out the year after I graduated high school, or like 04. So I graduated in 04, right? So I graduated early. And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend at the time goes, well, they have MySpace music now. And I was a hip hop artist and I had these songs that I was recording in my cheap little closet studio. And just like that, social media made sense to me. And from that point forward, it's been nonstop. And I wish I had a more diverse option of it because I did have an option of it, but I would kill to have a TikTok when I was like 16 or 17. I was a wild boy going to ICP shows and, show the world who I am and what I'm capable of. And, now it's just like, I can't even say I'm jealous. I'm envious. Envy is different than jealousy. But I'm absolutely thrilled to know that the next kid who has, the same thoughts I had is just like, well, I can just put my phone in an iPhone holder that I got, they don't even need a lot of money, just dick around and make my friends laugh, or, even if it never goes farther, just remember in 30 years when, you're at your high school reunion and your friend pulls up a video from 30 years ago because it's still somewhere on the internet and you guys just laugh about it. Like, it doesn't always have to be about being famous. It's about the memories of it too, like I'm going to look back at these movies I'm in like 20 years and be like, wow, I really, I might not have made it. Let's say it doesn't happen, cross our fingers, but no one can tell me I didn't fucking try my hardest.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters, is like, you gave it your all. And if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. Like I said, luck is just when opportunity meets preparation. So always fucking be prepared because you never know what opportunity is.
When I when it was fun. It's funny because so I'm pretty sure I'm at least 10 years older than you.
I think so. I'm 38, so I think you're a little.
Okay, yeah, I'm 50. So yeah.
Yeah.
So 12 years.
You
So
don't look
when
50. I thought you were like in your late 40s, maybe, just because I remember
thanks,
we talked
brother.
about this before. But,
Yeah.
you know, everybody ages different. So
Right. So, and I mean, dude, honestly, you look like you're in your 20s. So, so there you go.
I'm crossing my fingers. I get told that a lot, and I was like,
yeah.
I wonder when that stops. Like, that can't be forever. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like
it's not.
it's gonna
Trust
happen
me,
out of nowhere.
it's
No,
not.
it catches up with you.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
smoke. I don't drink. I try to work out, but you know,
Right.
time waits for no man, as they say.
Indeed.
You know.
Yeah. But when social media first came out, like the whole MySpace thing, or even Friendster, was that what it was called?
I don't remember anything before MySpace, and I don't
Okay,
remember.
yeah,
I don't
right.
remember
So
the oddities beforehand.
There was some stuff before MySpace that I would do. But what I liked about MySpace, and I think this is missing from social media now, to be honest, was the creativity of it. You could learn a little tiny bit of HTML and create your own background.
Yeah, it was cool.
You could have songs up, and because I always wanted to be in radio, man. I feel like I have the greatest musical taste in the history of music.
You also have
like,
a great radio voice. Let me be the one to say that. Like I can see you telling me about the Monday Night Raw coming to Madison Square Garden in a week. Get your tickets now, type of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I did some ring announcing. And it's funny because when you're live, you screw up. It is what it is. But every time I ever ring announced, the promoter was always like, "Oh man, you're the best ring announcer we've ever had. You come here in a suit, you look professional." I tried to do the old Lance Russell, like I wore like an old time suit, not
right.
I wasn't flashy. I tried to look. I'm not.
You tried to look like you were part of the program, not the program. Right. I totally get that.
Yeah, so I would wear like an old school announcer suit, and I would come out there with my voice. And no matter how much I messed up, the promoters were always like, "Oh, you're the best announcer we've ever had," and I thought that was cool, and that might be a lesson for all you ring announcers out there right now who are trying to be the center of attention.
Yeah,
not important.
No, I know.
Get out of the way.
What you're talking about. I won't kiss and tell, but I know some people who use that whole thing, and it's like, all right, or at least get a fucking suit that fits you. How about that? Can we get that? Like that extra mile really goes the extra
for sure.
That's kind of how it started for me with the whole acting thing. Like I said, I told you I bought these perks just to promote my brand, IllTV, right? Like, cool. Right. Watch the guy who reviews horror movies, die in horror movies, and watch his video promoting how you could be in the movie. Because every Indiegogo I've ever been in, I have a promo video where I go completely crazy, and you can see it on my YouTube. I tell people what you can get on the Indiegogo. I tell people you can act in it. Like, I try to make myself the announcer, because I actually try not to show myself. Like, a lot of the video is me talking about who's in the video, and I cut to a shot of my arcade cabinet, and I put movies that they've been in. Like when Felissa Rose was in it, I showed her clips from Sleepaway Camp and from Terrifier. And the whole idea is like, I would show like me scrolling the Indiegogo, but it was a screenshot of the Indiegogo, not me. And the whole idea is like, I was the announcer, and I was trying to show people like, yeah, I'm this over the top guy and I'm crazy, but like, I'm giving back to the community that's giving to me. And here's how you can do the same, and it's this whole circle of life thing. And I've had some people kind of rumble behind the scenes. They're like, does he really care about the film, or does he just care about seeing himself on camera with this promo shit? And it's like, I like that though. I like the fact that you don't know where the person starts and the persona ends. And that's really magical, because that means I'm doing something right. I've got just like anybody else, I've got people in this industry that really don't like me. I've been blocked from gigs by people who for whatever reason, we don't need to get into it, and I've made enemies with people that I've never met before because of talk. But the whole idea is like, that's cool to me. I like that. I like the whole Andy Kaufman thing, and I think it's really important that, like I was saying originally, I got into this because it made sense for my brand, and anything for the brand, anything for the baby behind me. And all of a sudden I'm on these sets and people are like, "You're just an extra?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Dude, you have a great look. Like, rock that shit. Like, maybe you want to consider something else." And you try not to let it go to your head, because when you're like me and you're this person who really has been trying to do this for so long, like 20 years trying to make it, you try not to let something like that. And it's like, yeah, I just gave this person money to be in their movie. It's like, the guy who's buying your car, the guy who's trying to sell you the car is the nicest guy in the world, right? And they're just trying to, but that wasn't the case. But I started hearing it from more and more people, including people on set who were just like, yeah, man, I don't know. You seem like you got this kind of down, like I was allowed to improv on my first film, which was Pretty Face, which is an All Hallows Eve trickster. You should go watch that, by the way. Francisco Di Pinto directed it. And he was actually Clown Cafe Kid #4 in Terrifier 2. The guy you see in the yellow shirt with the suspenders, he's a director and makes his own films, and he's fucking fantastic. It was interesting to work with a lot of the Terrifier crew. Like the camera person on that film is pretty much the same person who was the Terrifier camera person for I think 2, 3, and possibly 1. So I got this like first impression from like the big boys. Like oh my god, 1 year ago I was reviewing All Hallows Eve. The next year I'm in the third one. Like but again, it was pay to play. There's nobody said I need you. I said I need you and paid my money and donated to the film, and now the film is doing great for what it's worth. Again, it was an All Hallows Eve 3. That says a lot because it was a short film. It's one of those things where I wasn't really trying to do this, but it just kind of evolved, and it got to a point where I sat down with someone at The Boy From Below, and I told them, I was like, I'm looking for work, and they're like, okay, well, here's what you should do to network yourself. And I was just looking for extra work. Turns out now this individual has got me, like I said, written into a role where they actually modified some things about the role to fit me in my past life, because I told him who I was, all these like stories. And he's like, it was supposed to be a rock star, but maybe we'll make him a rapper. And it's really cool that someone like had that faith in me to do that. And this person also got me into the Sister Sullivan movie. So I owe them twice now, and I intend to pay them back. I don't kiss and tell. I'll never say who, but it's one of those things where, it was not supposed to be this far. It's gotten to the point where I actually just turned around yesterday and was like, I haven't uploaded anything to my channel. Like I got to get on the Halloween specials. I got to do, I've been doing trailer reactions in all honesty, which is great, but like no movie reviews. Like I should have had a review for like In a Violent Nature, like a while ago. I actually saw that after I was done filming in the last horror film I was in. One of my castmates that I met was like, let's go see it. I was like, fuck yeah, we were just in a horror film. Let's go watch a horror film.
Yeah, let's go watch a horror film, right.
Nice way to decompress those scenes where they're walking through the weeds and shit. I mean, the leaves. But it's one of those things that I wasn't supposed to be like this. And maybe it's just a 1 or 2 year thing. Maybe it's just, hey man, it was cool. A flash in the pan. I'm not above still buying roles to try and get into it. I'm paying off some stuff right now. Pay to play, that credit card helped out a lot. But it was one of those things where it's like, well, let's see what happens. Opportunity is coming to me now. I am not knocking on opportunity's door. Opportunity is knocking on my door. And it's like, who am I to not answer? Like, that's rude. I got a Ring doorbell. I know what you look like. I've been looking for you all my life. What fucking took you so long to get here? Like,
So I remember back in the day, there was some wrestlers who actually paid for their flights to Japan.
Yeah.
But they knew that they would get work once they got over there. They just had to get themselves there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
People were very, very critical. Like, never pay for your own flights. But you know what? You got to invest in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. WWE tryouts cost money.
Everything costs money.
You don't just go to the WWE and go, hey, look at my arms.
Yeah, right.
I want to wrestle for you. You have to pay them.
Yeah.
And then, and even then, though, you still have to get accepted.
Yeah.
You can't come down there without an invitation. So,
yeah. And even if you make it to the performance center, you still have to get past that. Maybe you don't have what it takes. Maybe they don't think you have what it takes. Maybe they saw something that was just a flash in the pan for a moment. But that's why they invest in you, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's important. A lot of my peers that are actors have warned me against doing pay to play all the time, because then it becomes expected of you. So I kind of did some things where I just like dabbled in it in a little bit. I didn't try to be flashy. Like, even though in Indiegogo campaign, when I would do those promo videos, I was saying, I paid to be in this movie. Like, I never had any illusions or disillusions to people. I was trying to use the fact that I could be in the film, that you could be in the film.
You can be in the film.
Like it's about, look at me, look at you, because it's not just about me. It's about the next person out there who might want to do this, or,
absolutely.
For all you know, some 21-year-old kid stumbled upon my video on TikTok, and maybe he didn't buy it in Indiegogo for that video, and maybe he doesn't have the money, but he's always going to think about the opportunity if he really wants it. Because it's not like I'm doing something that's 20 minutes away. For The Boy From Below, I drove 18 hours with my mom to fucking Kentucky. I've driven 3 or 4 hours to do other things. I have a 6 hour drive ahead of me. I have a 2 hour flight to Illinois coming up because it's cheaper and faster to fly in a plane than it is to spend 10 hours in the car. I got some shit coming up that costs me money and didn't cost. Now I'm getting to the point where some opportunities don't cost me money, but I'm not getting charged. I'm not getting paid, but I'm not getting charged. And it's like, okay, that's cool because I wasn't ready for that 1 year later.
Yeah. And the reality is that's the entertainment business.
Absolutely.
Stand-up comedians, like the Improv used to have a deal where you would pay and you would get 3 jokes.
Yeah.
You know,
for X amount of time, you know.
Right. I don't know if they still do that, but yeah, the Improv used to do that. Open mic nights. You go and you play and you pay, or you go, you sign up, you play, you don't get paid.
Right, yeah.
The clubs in LA were notorious. No, LA and New York were notorious for having pay to play nights.
Yeah,
during the 80s.
You're that good.
Yeah. Impress us. You know what I mean?
And that's really the basis and the genesis of a lot of people who just don't have that connection and don't have that fact they've been trying to do this since high school and they know XYZ who went on to become ABC and he can connect you to 1, 2, 3.
Right.
It's one of those things where a great example of this is there's an individual who is got a music video coming out. His name is Kai. I can't remember the last name. He has a music video coming out and he had an Indiegogo for that. And I'm pretty sure the music video he has, he's paid to put the song into other movies and he's investing into that song. And it's like, it's brilliant. It's like, that's so smart. That's basically what I'm trying to do with YouTube. But the only problem is I can't put my YouTube channel up there. I can put me with my logos and shit like that. And they allow that. They're all for it. I have my t-shirt, you know who I am when you see me, but that's like, that's some next level shit because it's like, wow, you took a music video that you had an Indiegogo for. Let's say it was a $10,000 music video. And then you're paying another, like, normally it's only $200 to get your song into a movie, 200 to 250, give or take.
Right.
And it's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're taking the opportunity and using it and maximizing it to its full potential to the point where, let's be honest, some of that Indiegogo money probably went towards making sure that song ended up in a movie. And that's cool. I'm not even knocking it. If you have a big enough following that you can do an Indiegogo, again, I envy you in a healthy way. I'm not jealous of you, but I envy you because if I was like, hey guys, make an Indiegogo for Illsvn Forek. Hey, can someone help me raise $3,000 so that way maybe I can get a better camera to film my channel? Like the fuck is wrong with you? Like be a big boy, pull out the credit card and cry about it for the next year.
Go buy yourself a camera. Yeah.
Exactly. But support my music video. You guys, like, again, he has a platform. He has social media. You can see this guy is legit. To get on Indiegogo, you need some serious backings. I know for video games, I have a friend who's making one. They won't put her video game on until they have at least 4 completed levels or completed enough that you could play through them. Like, it's to get on Indiegogo and all that stuff. They require a lot of you. And hey, man, I think it's great that that's an option for artists in all platforms, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're making music. You are able to take this platform and help someone with their vision and they help you with yours. Or maybe you just want to buy a Blu-ray for $25. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ranges. I mean, Stream, that movie coming out, that was crowdfunded because it was in production before Terrifier 2 came out. So Fuzz on the Lens wasn't Fuzz on the Lens quite yet. And now that they're Fuzz on the Lens, it's whatever. But there was a perk in there. Because remember, the killers in that movie just wear masks. They don't talk or anything.
Right.
$9,000, you could have been a killer. $9,000. Like, if I had some sort of backing or some sort of ability to do that, bro, you couldn't get the $9,000 out of my hand fast enough. Granted, $9,000 feels like $90,000 in today's economy. But that was a perk that was available. Like, we're talking, I want to say Stream wrapped up production late 2022. That's when I started meeting people from it that were like, oh, we just got done filming. That's crazy. Like, you could have been in a Fuzz on the Lens production and, you could have bought that not aware of what you were buying. And all of a sudden Terrifier 2 comes out and it blows everything up. And Stream ended up getting put in production hell because they just wanted to release it at the right time because they fund everything by themselves. There are no major Hollywood there. And they made the right choice of releasing it in August before Terrifier comes out in October that takes place on Christmas. So you're going to have this Fuzz on the Lens reign from August till probably mid-January. It's just
nice.
It's fascinating. And again, you could have been in on that Stream thing if you were at the right place and time, because pay to play is much a part of the industry as trying to do it since day one. Not everyone wants to admit that or face that music, because there's a lot of old school people out there that are like, I don't understand why you would do that. Like, I'm here to get paid. I'm here to invest to get points in the film. If I'm going to invest into a film, it's going to be to get points on the film, not to
be in the film.
Right. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, like we just said, it's been a part of the entertainment business forever. It's not going anywhere.
No, it's absolutely not.
And I feel like there's no shame in investing in yourself.
No, and I know established people who, I know a producer who is very well respected and they do some fantastic work. I won't kiss and tell, but it was fascinating to me to see this person who collects actual paychecks from being a producer and is well respected and works with some individuals that I'm talking about now. And they were just like, oh, you were in XYZ? Yeah, I actually bought the executive producer perk on that. I was like, you?
There you go.
Like,
hey.
You produce like professionally, like you do this for a living. That's how you keep your lights on. Like, like you're in this industry. You are where 1,000,001 people would, love to be. And it's like, you just felt the film and that made me feel good about the fact I was in the film. I was like, okay. And like, again, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not like, I don't like kissing and telling. Name dropping is the tool of the devil, in my opinion. It's like, if we were talking privately and I knew you knew some of these people, maybe I would, but like, again, name dropping in like a public forum is just so whack. Like, I understand.
It's not necessary.
Not where it's at. Telling you Captain Lou Albano's brother talked me out of being a wrestler. Yeah, I guess you could say
it's a very cool story.
It's part of the story. Like, that's a one in a million shot,
story.
But it's fascinating to see how many people I know that really still pay to play, even though they get paychecks. It's like, all right, invest in yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And hey, man,
absolutely.
When you scroll down that IMDb, nobody knows that you're pay to play if you're a producer or you're an actor, unless you're out there telling them, like, don't hurt nobody, man. Like, I told the guy who actually advised me not to do this too much. I was like, after all these years of paying dues in every other way, it almost feels like I'm cheating that I'm paying my dues with cash. Like, what drug dealer me could have done with this opportunity 10 years ago. Holy shit. Like, I would have been the next Jason Voorhees.
It's funny. I was thinking about that when you said that the killers wore masks. So in the Friday the 13th movies, you never saw Jason.
No, we all know who Kane.
And it was and it was a different actor a lot of the time. It wasn't always the same guy.
Yeah,
and those guys, I'm sure some of them have passed at this point, but they could go and do conventions, because they were under the mask.
Kane Hodder is the most famous one that played Jason. He still does conventions to this day. I heard a story where he was booked to go do like a very intimate situation. I don't want to say what, but he was booked to do a very intimate situation, and tickets were $300, right? To be in this setting with him. And it was really cool. The concept was awesome. And unfortunately, the venue pulled some shady shit. And Kane's rules are Kane gets paid. So apparently Kane was paid his full asking rate. Maybe he didn't make any money on the sales, but he was paid his full asking rate, and that's a number with two numbers in front of the comma, to my understanding. Wow, that's crazy. It's one of those things where Kane was just at a recent event that I did, and out of nowhere at this like after party VIP thing you could buy tickets to, they gave him a lifetime achievement award out of nowhere. Like, he didn't even know it was coming. They just gave it to him, and he was just so happy because he is Jason Voorhees the way Freddy Krueger is Robert Englund, right? But there's been multiple actors behind, but he is the one, like the one we all think of. He's even though he's an older man now, he's still a big dude. He's a big guy, and it's fascinating just again to see the fact that he's someone who hasn't played Jason in the better part of 2 decades now, something like that, and he's still out there, and it's cool. I'm happy to see these people have a space to exist because we remember you. Maybe not everybody walking down the street remembers you, but there's a reason they have to bring you in the back door at these cons, like
right. Who was the who played Jason in the one that was at the group home?
You're talking about is that Friday the 13th part 3? Wait, the group home.
Yeah, they were at a group home, and it ended up not actually being Jason. It was a Jason impersonator.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't remember who that was, but I remember that storyline because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I remember that. That was a good one. But yeah.
So I remember seeing that he was doing conventions. But that was kind of my point. I don't remember the actor's name.
Right.
But my point was kind of like, without ever showing who you are, and maybe doing a role that other people may slide into, you could still get notoriety, and you could still go on to other things from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
look at Tom Atkins from Halloween 3. I have actually, check this out. This is one of my prized possessions. It's signed by him. Wow. It's a cool little thing. And Tom Atkins is so deaf that I had to like practically scream at him to tell him how much I loved him. And it's like, it looked like we were in an abusive relationship. Like, I fucking love you, man. That's so awesome. Thanks for signing this, you know? And he was a really nice guy. But again, these old men who played like the original Michael Myers, he was Dick Warlock, best name ever. Dick Warlock was at a convention I was at, and like, my friend was getting him to do the old Michael Myers walk. And it's like, I don't think he's faking that no more. I think that's really how he walks now. Cause he's like, 80 something. And it's fascinating.
Now, man. So I remember reading something about the original Halloween. That guy had a connection to the producers or the directors or something like that, right? He wasn't like,
he wasn't really an actor. No.
Yeah. He wasn't really an actor. Yeah. They just were like, we just need you to stand there and look menacing.
I think it is Dick Warlock, actually. I think it was the guy that, he was at the table next to Tom Atkins, and I just didn't have anything for him to sign. But it was just like the number one rule of breaking in the industry is just be on set. You know, I know people who hang around sets, and, you know, unfortunately that creates opportunistic, hungry individuals. And, you know, it's one of those things that's a double-edged sword depending on how you convey yourself. But you know, I've been in movies with horror actors who were like, yeah, man, I got my start driving a truck around on the set. And they were just like, hey, come be on set. Cause the guy was a fucking giant. Like, I'm 6'2", this guy's 6'5". Like when I met him, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, you know, it's fascinating again, just how much you can just by being there and just, you know, showing up is half the battle.
Yeah. I mean, Ralphus from WCW, Chris Jericho's bodyguard, was legitimately one of the truck drivers.
Yep.
Who brought the ring to the shows. And Jericho was like, this guy's hilarious. Just the way that he looks is hilarious. We need to put him on TV. Yeah. So it's pretty great, man. So this has been probably the most all over the place podcast that we've done.
I'm not gonna lie, it's cool. You know, the whole idea is like, at first I looked at it as like an interview with me, but I was like, you know, I'm watching a podcast. I was like, you know, podcasts are not always about like the individual. That's an interview. A podcast is kind of like you know, like example is you can watch all right, let's take a look at the number one podcast in the world, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, like he has people on there, and you're like, Joe, why don't you just ask more questions to the guy? It's like, bro, they're the entertainment value of just them talking naturally, like, you know, like. And they don't always agree with them, and they don't always disagree with them, you know. And Joe isn't the type of guy to really, you know, argue with them. He just kind of lets them, you know, flow. That's his style, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, a podcast and an interview are two different things. I've come to realize.
For sure.
You know, absolutely. And I've been having a lot of fun with this. I'm glad we got to talk this because I've been so excited to talk to you ever since we tried this the first time and we had some technical errors. So, you know, I'm not going to lie. We kind of cheat coded here because we already had a great grasp of one another. You know, we already knew. We had a solid 20 minutes before it went to hell. So, you know, like not everybody you talk to is into pro wrestling and hip hop and wasn't that like I'm an all over the place person is what I'm trying to say. This is so on brand for me. It's not even funny. Like,
do you know what's amazing? Other than the first guest, every single person that we've had on has had a connection to pro wrestling, and I didn't know.
No, dude, it's just pro wrestling is something else. It's an art form that you either respect it or you don't, and there's no in between. There is no one who's like, oh, I love pro wrestling, but man, I think it's corny. Like, it's like, I love pro wrestling, I think it's corny. Like, you know, like, it's not like, it's like, it's just some people respect it and some people don't. And everyone who has a problem with that, I was like, just show me one sport where there's no off season.
Yeah.
Show me one sport where, you know, the people work 300 days a year, and you could talk about off season training, but you know, that's definitive time off. They know between the end of the season and the off season training, there's a gap of like 2 or 3 months where they can just be there, like
Right.
animal, man. I've never been so happy to not pursue a dream in my life.
Man. Yeah. Cody Rhodes tore his pec and put
he
off
fucking showed
surgery
up.
so he could be in the main event of a pay-per-view.
With how much money they
surgery
signed
on a
him for,
torn pec, bro. That is, woo,
we
that's
just had
serious.
to work around it, It's about the manipulation of emotion, like how we all felt when we knew he was injured, and then we saw him take the robe off, and we saw the discoloration. That was not a makeup effect, man. That man,
that was his chest, man.
And it's just like, wow. But like the emotions of it all,
you should be in a hospital. You know what I mean? Like
you
that's
should be
the
like
feeling.
lying down with like 20 pounds of ice on top of that, like
right.
With your beautiful wife telling you it's gonna be okay. There's always next year.
There's man. He's like, nope, I have momentum. I gotta keep going. And
yeah, man, we'll just work around it. Just don't make me lock up with you. Don't, when I go to lift you and slam, like jump, make it so that way I'm lifting with this arm versus this arm.
Yeah.
It's something that's just so fascinating. It's always been fascinating to me. And it's always been a part of how I conduct myself, this over the top personality or this in your face, flashy shit. Like, I look the same in every movie I'm in. Like I wear this exact attire. This is part of the brand, again, because I got that from pro wrestling. The Undertaker looks the same no matter how much he changes. The Rock, Stone Cold, pick one. They all have a look. Ric Flair always had different robes, but he always had a robe.
But he was always Ric Flair, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think between comic books and pro wrestling, that's sort of how I learned to conduct myself, for better or worse.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
Present yourself in a light where it's just like, I can't look away from this guy, for better or worse. I want to see him. I want to see him crash. I want to see him fail. Like I said, I have people in this industry that like want to see me not make it, and I like the fact that if someone brings my name up to them, they might get a little cringy, or they might just be like, and like people are like, he's such a likable guy. How could you hate him? And it's just like, well, actually, like it's just, I like that. It makes me feel like I matter, and no matter what, I'm not lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when people don't like me.
Yeah,
like I kind of accept it at this point, but when I run across people who are like, "Oh, I heard this and this about you," I'm like, "What?" Because the one thing that I always try to do is conduct myself with honor, and I think that if you conduct yourself with honor, people can't. If your intentions are always good,
yes,
I don't get people having negative feelings, but there's still people with negative feelings. And it's just, I guess it's just the way of the world.
It's like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? No good deed goes unpunished. I've done things that, like I said, I've done things that I thought I was doing something good and I was, but I'm rubbing this other person the wrong way. Or maybe I did something good for someone that in the past, when a similar situation arose for another person, I didn't think to do that. And now it's like, oh, well, you only did that because XYZ. Why didn't you do that for me? And it's like, all you can say is, I'm sorry. It just didn't cross my mind. And, there was no reasoning for it. But how do you dispel that? They believe what they want to believe. Manipulation of emotion, just like pro wrestling. I think it's really important to just conduct yourself in a way that you have to understand. If you're not making enemies, you're not making moves.
Absolutely.
And, they say, what did someone say? A video game for everyone is a video game for no one. Someone who is loyal to everyone is really loyal to no one. I've met some people that definitely 100%. Have me like, you're really close to people I don't like, and I've heard you say things about them, and yet you still work with them. So I'm going to sit here and assume that maybe you say some stuff about me, and I'm not going to let it bother me, because that's just how you are, and it doesn't make you a bad person.
Right. You are not responsible for other people's shit.
At the end of the day, what someone thinks of you is none of your business. People will talk about your reputation, but people who know your character will know the difference between the two. And I always saw reputation as persona and character as person. And like you've heard me say, where if you can't tell where the persona ends and the person begins, or vice versa, you're doing your job.
Right.
Like if people think you're an asshole and you're actually an asshole, that's not a persona. That's
just you being an asshole.
Yeah. And then some more power to you. But if you're someone who has like a polarizing effect on people, that's interesting. And like I said, I've heard someone who said about me, and they're people that I trust and respect, they were just asking out loud, like, I can't tell if he really wants to see these movies succeed, or if he's just using this as an opportunity to make these promo videos to see himself in front of a camera. And it's like, I fuck with that vibe. I fuck with
Yeah.
that energy because you're not really saying anything bad about me. But
Right.
to answer your question, what if I told you yes? If you asked me either or, are you
Yeah.
this, are you that? And I just said yes.
Yeah.
Well, how would you even know how to make? You couldn't make heads or tails of me. It's like, yes, I like seeing myself on camera. That's why I do this. But I like seeing people succeed at their dreams,
Succeed,
and I like
for sure.
being a part of something bigger than myself. And that's why I was so happy to be on this because this is
Right.
bigger than me. I fuck with
I
that
appreciate
entirely.
that. I appreciate that, man.
But
Yeah.
for Sister Sullivan, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have some really cool shit coming out that's
Nice.
really fucking scary. That's going to promote this movie because
Yeah.
me and Paul have been talking. And shout out to Paul Allen.
Yeah.
Paul has seen what I have waiting in the wings, and we're just like, let me put it this way. Before the weekend is over, you're going to see something that you're definitely going to want to share on Facebook, and it is
Awesome.
going to be fantastic. I am just waiting tomorrow, The Deadly Endings. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
Deadly Endings was the last film I was in. It was an anthology film. Deadly Endings teaser trailer comes out tomorrow. So if you guys want to see something really cool, check that out. I'll be doing a trailer reaction video for that because,
Awesome.
give back to the community. Or do I just like hearing myself talk? I don't even know anymore.
Who knows? Yeah.
But, yes. What's coming out after that is going to put me in a mindset of people that are either, let's say, whatever you believe about me, whether you think I'm this or that, it's only going to push it further in that direction because
Right.
I'm excited for it. And I have other things coming out, but I've just been patiently waiting to get some other things out. Last week I was doing the stream thing because I fuck with Fuzz on the Lens. This week I'm going to do that reaction. And Saturday or Sunday, I have something coming out that I really need you to share for me if you'd be so kind.
Oh, I will, brother. I promise.
Absolutely. I love you.
I will absolutely get it out there, man. It's not a problem at all. I am going to try to make sure that my day on the set is the same as yours, to be honest.
I am there.
I want to meet you in person, bro.
I am there the 28th of September.
Okay.
I will only be there for one day because I have to fly there, rest, and then fly back and, go back to living life. I got a small business to run, but
yeah, of course.
It's one of those things where I'm super excited. And if I could stay longer, I would, but the logistics of even trying to maneuver those flights. So I will tell you this, I will be in the area between the 27th and the 29th. I should get there pretty early on the 27th, but I'll be an hour and a half from set to my understanding. I'm getting a ride there, thankfully.
Right.
And it's one of those things where I'm sure we can figure something out, whether we meet up on set or we meet up and get food afterwards and,
awesome.
we Uber some shit. I don't know, but I'm excited to know that you're going to be on this film because I'm super excited to meet you too, bro. I'm asking, where are you? I live at the Jersey Shore. I live 20 minutes from Seaside Heights. Where do you live again?
So I'm in Connorsville, Indiana, which is a little town, southern Indiana. I'm originally from, I was born in Syracuse and raised in Ithaca. So, and it's funny because, man, the longer that I'm away from the East Coast, the prouder I am that I'm from the East Coast. But I don't think I'd ever live there again.
It's one of those things where it's very expensive. I used to live in Bergen County, which is North Jersey. I used to live 20 minutes from the GWB. And, when it came time for life to change, opportunities arose. And I was like, well, I can't leave New York City unless I go somewhere else where there's something I can build my brand with. And it just so happens I'm right by Seaside Heights. And, going down the shore is so Jersey. It's not even funny. I mean, you're not even from New Jersey and you know what that fucking means. I know that.
Of course.
I don't know what the beach is. I know what the shore is, but it's one of those things where I was like, cool, I'll just promote from Seaside Heights. Seaside Heights is now the new home of ILTV. Who's going to argue with that? It's one of those things where if it wasn't for that and it wasn't for New York City giving me all the opportunities I have, I don't know how long I would have been able to stay here. It's just situations are what they are, but once you leave and you start seeing those house prices in like Indiana, you're like, whoa, that's for the house? That's the house?
Dude, it's nuts.
That's not the down payment. That's the house.
That's the house.
The whole thing. Like, is it haunted? like, does someone is that a roommate situation?
Right. Dude, it's funny because there's this house right down the street from my job. It's $120,000, but it is such a nice house.
I know it's outrageous.
And I'm just like, you know what? That's not that much money for that house, like at all. Back home it would be. Even when I lived in Milwaukee, like the housing prices in Milwaukee are pretty freaking high.
That's like a city. See, when you say Milwaukee, I think of a city that I know. If I know it off the top of my head, I know it costs money to live there.
Yeah.
World,
sure. Absolutely. It's funny, man, because there's some really cool indie rock happening in Seaside Heights.
Oh yeah.
There's a label out there called Rumbar that puts out some really cool like power pop and stuff. I listen to
I
the
don't
stuff.
doubt it at
So
all.
when you said Seaside Heights, I immediately thought of like Rumbar Records and all the cool stuff that they're putting out.
I
So
mean, in the summer, I make my stream videos, like not my stream video, but I make my little promo videos like, oh, catch me tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Twitch, whatever. And then I do it again every Tuesday night. I go to the boardwalk and I go and I make my little videos and I stay on brand. I shouldn't say it's called iconography when you have something about you that matches. Like, for example, Seaside Heights. Like, I don't really live at Seaside Heights. I live 20 minutes from Seaside Heights. I mean, the Jersey Shore house is 20-minute drive, 19 if you want to be technical on MapQuest, from my house. It's iconography, you know, like I am the same exit as Seaside Heights, but it's like iconography, the same way it's like, you know, like, oh, you know, he's a little bit conceited and stuff like that. You know, it's the pro wrestling iconography, you know, like the horror shirts. You could say it's on brand. You could say it's iconography, but that's what it's technically called in the industry. And it's just something that, like I said, if I'm going to leave New York City, I have to leave for something a little bit better because where I lived in Jersey was jokingly called the sixth borough because just like any other borough, I was 20 minutes from a bridge that put me into the heart of the city, GWB in my instance. You know, whether you live from the Throgs Neck or you live from the Williamsburg, that was the joke about where I lived. It was the sixth borough without the taxes or the high living cost, but it was still pretty fucking high.
Right, for sure.
And, you know, just like anything else, you drove through a city before you got to the suburbs. Just like when you come over the GWB, you kind of drive through a little bit of a city and then all of a sudden it's houses and shit like that.
And all of a sudden it's like, hey, look at these yards and fences and stuff.
Yeah. Look at this property. Like,
what is this? All right, brother. So I think we're gonna wrap stuff up now.
Absolutely.
Tyler has some editing to do.
Yeah,
sorry, bro.
Tyler has a resume to put out there for a new producer position. That's what he
know. But I did want to ask you, because this is honestly, like I said, this is the most all over the place podcast we've done. Generally the podcast follows sort of a formula. But I like that we've had a really cool conversation, man. But I do want to say, I do want to ask, what keeps you going? What is it that makes you continue to create after 20 years, all the ups and downs, and all the different hats that you've worn? What is it that keeps you doing this?
Two things. I've come this far, so why stop? And I have a lot of shit to rub in people's faces. I'm going to my high school reunion the 2 days before I filmed for Sister Sullivan. I was the kid in middle school that couldn't get a date to save his life. I didn't always look like this. I always painted my nails. I always wore jewelry. I had weird ass contacts in. I would go to school with them. I'm literally about to be the guy who couldn't get a date in middle school. And I'm going to go there and visit people. And they all know I've been in movies. I'm literally going to be the kid who nobody wanted to date and is now a movie star. I use the word lightly. But revenge, the success is the greatest form of revenge. And I hate to sound bitter, but it's the Jersey in me. But it's also the fact that I need to keep impressing myself. Never, ever give up. It's just I've come too far. I've got too many people that would like to see me quit. And it's like, I don't got a wife or a kid. God bless you for doing it with both, it seems.
I have a kid. I'm a single dad, actually.
Good for you. Good for you, man.
That's a lot more.
I was raised by a single mom, so I respect that.
Awesome.
It's just something like, you know, and, you know, my mama says I'm pretty.
There you go. All right, brother. Awesome, man.
Awesome, man. Listen, Keith, thank you so much. Most excellent podcast. Thank you so much. Tyler, thank you so much. I'm really glad we got to redo this because I know the first time around we had a little bit of an issue with hardware on both of our sides. But hey, man, this is why we keep it moving. This is why we don't quit, because the solution to the problem is never that hard. But the problem sucks when it happens. But again,
we got it worked out.
Absolutely. Thank you to both of you again. I wish you the best of luck with this. I hope to be a reoccurring guest on this after we get some more shit going.
For sure.
And again, last thing, I'm just going to plug some shit. Is that cool?
Yeah. I was actually going to lay the carpet out for you and you just kept going. So
yeah, that's
go
how
right ahead, my friend.
So make sure you check me out on YouTube. IllTV, just search me up, IllTV. You'll see this logo behind me. Every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New Jersey time, of course. Twitch.tv/IllTV 4K. And, remember, it's like somebody once said, hard work pays off and dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Heck yeah. Awesome, brother.
All right, man.
All right,
Take care.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.